I finished the Rust book. The videos are posted, they're online, feel free to view them. After reading the book, I feel confident that I can read through Rust, and that if I wanted to build a small tool, I can, or a small project. What I don't feel comfortable with, and what's kind of awkward, is I know very little about the Rust ecosystem. And from what I can tell, the standard library is tiny, and if you want to get anything done, you need to understand the ecosystem. So the plan, at least going forward, is I think I'm just going to use this channel to document my Rust journey. There are resources I'd probably like to share, tutorials that I'll do, maybe deep dives into crates and other projects. And yeah, I think that's the plan. So without further ado, let's start it. So I compiled a list of some of the resources that I'm going through currently, and here they are. I'll have all these links in the description, so don't try to like zoom in and things like that. I'll provide them. But with that being said, I can make this a little bit bigger. So the first one I want to go over is the Learning Rust repo, which I've recently discovered. Surprised didn't know of it earlier. But this seems awesome just because it's a curated list of Rust content and like learning materials. And you see they have books, videos, podcasts, and a bunch of other things here. It's worth going through. And one thing to note is that they star things that are created by a Rust team member. So I want to say thank you to whoever put this together and everybody that contributed to it, because I am definitely going to be looking at it and reading it. Thank you. So the next thing I want to go over, which you can actually find this in the previous GitHub repo, is the Rust Cookbook. So the Rust Cookbook I also recently discovered, and I am loving it because it's little snippets. Well, all cookbooks in programming languages are little snippets of code that are useful to accomplish a task. But in the Rust one, which is just like all the others, there is a new caveat. Given that the standard library is so small, a lot of these use things outside of the standard library. So for example, if we go to CSV processing, they give you a small example of how to do things with a CSV. And they also, in the example, use the external crate for CSV, which is like, going through here, I can see all of the little crates that exist that I should be using for specific tasks. I can like slowly learn of them in the context that they're used in, instead of going through crates.io and just searching randomly for things that I might be interested in looking up, which is also a really, really good idea too. So not to knock it, but I really like this idea. And then, for example, one of the ones that kind of threw me for a loop was extracting links, right? So when I was going through here, I got to learn of something that I wasn't even thinking about at the time, which was select. So extracting links from web pages is basic web scraping. But in order to do web scraping, they use the select package, which I don't think I have open. Let's open that real quick. Crates.io, search for select first one. And it is a library to extract useful information or useful data from HTML documents suitable for web scraping. I haven't even considered web scraping in Rust. But now that I went through the cookbook, I now know it's a thing I can do and what packages to use to do it. So I think that's amazing. Moving on, something I saw on Twitter, somebody posted, I think James himself posted, but there is a person, James Munns, I think his name is pronounced. If I got that wrong, my apologies. He is live streaming embedded Rust content. And I know I haven't mentioned this, but one of the reasons why I got into Rust in the first place is because I wanted to learn about embedded stuff and get closer to the hardware. So definitely if you're interested in embedded stuff, you should probably be following him and go to his YouTube channel. He has two. This is the new one, right? James Office Hours, where he's doing all of his current stuff. But I also appreciated going through his old content just because he makes embedded look so easy that I feel as though I can do it now, and I'm more empowered to try again. I tried once and failed, but that was well before I finished the Rust book, so I'll probably try again soon. And then lastly, if you're not subscribed, the This Week in Rust or the Rust Weekly newsletter is an amazing source just for random tidbits of knowledge and information. I would definitely subscribe. Well, those are the resources I wanted to share today. If y'all have any resources that you found very useful for yourself in terms of learning Rust or moving you to the next level from knowing Rust to be able to use Rust effectively, please share them in the comments below. I know I would appreciate them. I'm sure other people would too. Outside of that, if you like the video, hit like, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Peace.